Hey everybody, welcome back to Final Thoughts for Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective. And I'm joined here by my wife Jen. And so, it's a lovely game. It's a very fun game, hopefully just from what you've seen so far. And I apologize for the cliffhanger ending, folks. My only hope is someday that Istari Games, the publisher of Sherlock Holmes, will strike a deal with Dave Neal, who has come up with this fan thing, and 5 other ones that are, all very, very good. Add some new functionality to the game, really, really great. I hope to see these things printed for real as an official expansion because they're really good. I mean, I do want to see this story through.
Well, we can leave it here.
Well, yeah, we've got it. We can see this anytime we want. But hopefully, even though this is not one of the 10 missions you get with the base game, I think this did do a very good job of giving you an idea of the feel and the flavor, how you do feel like an investigator, how you're trying to make the best decisions because, there is a score. Although it's interesting. Probably, I would say the biggest problem with this game is it's kind of schizophrenic because you want to make, it sets up this whole thing about trying to beat Holmes. You score points at the end of the game. Basically, I'm sure we've done more than Holmes already, so we're starting to lose points. But we can make up for those lost points if we can answer some of the side quest stuff so that we can get close to Holmes. Now, everybody who plays this pretty much agrees it's impossible to beat Holmes. And so a lot of people get frustrated, like, how could I ever win? And, and so it's really kind of weird. It's almost like against the flavor of the game because what a lot of people do is they'll play through and they'll say, okay, I think we've got enough. Let's end now. And they'll stop having only read half of all the cool, wonderful fluff.
Yep.
And because they want to try and score a high point. And that's a real shame. Now, I guess you could argue that kind of gives it replay because, well, hey, we know the basics. Let's go back in and just try to do. But it's never really going to work to go back and do a thing a second time. So it's kind of really weird. I mean, your best bet to be able to play Sherlock Holmes is completely ignore Sherlock. Forget about the score. It's kind of just like a nice little bit of trivia, but explore to your heart's content until you feel that, okay, I have truly done this, and you've really explored the richness of the story, and that's when it's going to be at its best. Although it's interesting. You can play this as a cooperative game, solo, up to, we played it in a game with like 15 people.
Yeah.
12, somewhere between 10 and 15 people. And it worked. It worked okay. And heck, we're playing with hundreds of people right now on the internet. So you can play this with a big group. Interestingly, if you want, you can play it as a competitive game. And the way that works is, Jen and I are competing. Whoever gets the best score at the end of the game wins. And every other turn, you would have to provide your own first player marker. Because I would be the first player, I would choose the first place we go. And then, first player marker goes to you. You would choose the second place. I would choose the third place. You would choose the fourth place. And we just keep going. Everybody hears everything, but we take turns choosing. And eventually, when one of us decides, okay, I've got enough information, they can drop out, fill out the questionnaire, and then wait for everybody else.
Ah.
And then, somebody else could drop out then too and see, or probably the other person will keep going, knowing they're going to lose some points, but hopefully make up for it with the bonus. And then whoever has the best score at the end of the game wins. So you can actually play this competitively if you want. But that's just kind of weird too, because again, it's encouraging you to stop, to walk away and miss what is the true star of the show. All the wonderful writing, the atmospheric stuff, the comedy, the chance to sing if you're feeling the need.
Or put on an accent or two.
Yes, or put on an accent or two. So that's always really kind of struck me as very odd. But, that aside, I think it's a really solid game. And, it certainly lives up to its pedigree as a wonderful couples game that you can play with others, particularly if you're willing to put aside. Because, Jen has actually found it to be very frustrating because you are playing as, well, I got to beat Sherlock, and I don't know what to do, and I don't feel like the game has given me enough so I can make the best choice so you can min-max. And I think that's actually kind of hurt the experience for you.
It has, but actually the way we've been playing today has been much more relaxed, and I've enjoyed it a lot more.
Yeah, exactly, because this is the way I think it's supposed to be played, even though the rules kind of push you in a different direction.
Well, it could also be that the first time I played it, I was taking notes. I was taking every single
Well, you're taking
detail.
notes now.
I know, but a lot less.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Well, you've got a better hang of it, too.
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
So, yeah, I just think this is a much better, more enjoyable way to play.
Yeah.
And we've certainly interacted a lot with each other, which, as you've seen,
Yep.
is one of the reasons we like to play together.
Exactly. Now, I will say, fair warning, if you get the full version, it's interesting, this game was originally published in like 1981 or something like that. So it's been around a long time, and this is a relatively recent reprint in English that came out like last year or the year before, something like that. And when they were redoing it, they completely redid it. They upgraded a lot of stuff, higher quality components and whatnot. But while they were doing it, they also made some changes to some of the cases. They move some around, so the order is different. And in fact, for a few of the cases, I think there are 3 cases where they made typos in the case books that are so egregious that they literally lead you in wrong directions. One of them, I believe, there's like a cipher you're supposed, like and you get like a decoder ring later, and when you eventually decode it, it doesn't decode into words, and you think it's broken, and it's because there was a typo. So I believe of the 10 cases that come with this full game in English, 3 of them are really messed up, or not really messed up, but again, if you're playing it with the right, or who cares if we beat Holmes or not, we're just having fun exploring, you will get to a point where, okay, we just can't figure this out. Apparently, the 3rd case is by far the worst. We haven't played that one, but apparently it's so bad that once you finally hear the thing, you're like, there's no way I could have known that, and it's because of typos that were made. And of course, there's lots of little typos in here too, but they don't really matter much. I remember there's one typo where it's literally one of those, hey, you used an American word for this instead of an English word, and the American word means something different, so it makes you think it's like a whole different problem. Yeah. So of the 10 missions, my understanding is, I could be wrong about this, 2 or 3 of them have a slight little goof that will make them less satisfying. But even with that in mind, they're still going to be fun. They're still going to be, you do your best, and then you eventually say, oh, I guess this was one of the bad ones. Or you go on Board Game Geek. There's a really nice thread that kind of outlines, hey, here's the problems with this one. You need to know this going into this case. Here is a reprint of the original newspaper that was made in 1981 that doesn't have the misleading mistake. And so you can just look at a bitmap of it and read the correct thing instead of the wrong thing. So Board Game Geek will get you through those rough patches if you need to.
Yay, Board Game Geek.
Yay, Gary Geek. But anyway, that's it, folks. That is Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective. And I think that's it. If I made any goofs along the way, I think this might be the first run-through I've ever made where I didn't make a goof, because how can I? But anyway, that's it, folks. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, as always, let me know. Otherwise, I hope you have a very, very nice day. Talk to you later. So long.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.